Hi there, everybody. I hope you like my little introduction there with a little picture of our book, as I'm sure you've come to love it. This little video is just a kind of a primer for how you might think about how you might approach your upcoming group presentation on the books that you've read, and also how you might approach the final writing project, your final paper. The best way I think for you to think about it is to, maybe you recall being introduced to the term heuristic, is to think of your book as a heuristic, a list of topics or questions almost that would help you or will help you ask questions and interrogate and investigate and analyze the books that you're reading. So what I would suggest first is for you to take a look at the different chapters that we've read and think about the different topics that we've covered, and think about how these different types of persuasion and types of proofs might help you analyze and organize your presentation in your paper. For instance, if you think about the organization and how you might introduce the book to your audience, which is me and the class, of course, it might make sense for you first to provide a summary of what the book is about. That'd be a pretty good introduction, I would imagine, and then move on to say the ethics of the book or the credibility of the author. How does the author establish credibility for writing the book based on who they are? I mean, this information probably won't come from the dust jacket on the cover of the book. You'll have to do a little bit of research probably to find out who Ann Coulter is, to find out who Richard Dawkins is, to find out who Steve Prothero is, and where they come from and what their credentials are, or to speak on that particular topic. And so you want to introduce the ethic of the book, the credibility of the book, after you summarize, most likely. You might then ask questions about what the kairos of the book. What is the timing? Why did this book come out when it came out? Why was it of interest? In terms of, say, the Coulter book, what was going on in politics at the time, because it's a politically driven book. Again, you'll have to take a look at the publication date and figure out what was going on at the time to establish the kairos. You then might look closely at the types of arguments that are made in the book and try to identify whether they are ethical, pathetic, or logical arguments, whether the proofs that are offered appeal to emotions or appeal to credibility of the author or appeal to logic, to facts, to rationality. You might then analyze whether the arguments are beyond ethos, pathos, logos, whether they are drawn from commonplaces or whether they rely on commonplaces. As we talked about in class, commonplace arguments are usually appeal to shared values within cultures or within particular groups, and so very short, pithy, commonplace statements can have an incredibly persuasive power within particular groups. So you might analyze those types of arguments, whether or not those are predominant. And you might include stasis theory. You might walk all the way through and look at all the different types of arguments that are there or are not there. And you then might choose to conclude, and this is more for your paper probably, choose to conclude the project with an analysis of how effective you felt it was, and an analysis of what you think the goals of the text were. I think that you'll find when we see these presentations that the goals of these different books are different. And I think this is an important point that you need to cover in both the paper and the group project. You need to analyze and discuss the different types of arguments, but you also need to be sure that you talk about the goals. Why does that book exist, and how do you draw that conclusion based on how the arguments are made? Hopefully I'll get to this in class today. It's November 4th, but I have a feeling, looking at our PowerPoint, that much of the class will be taken up with that, and so hopefully this video will give you a little bit more guidance about what you might do for your paper and for your group presentation, because those start a week from today. As always, email me with questions or bring them up in class. Good luck.